Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. Have you ever wondered how to unleash your inner power? Well, we're going to find out with our next guest. Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. I'm Ryan Morris, and as always, I am here with Nicholas T. Smith, the MG, the mystical giant. I want you to go right now, subscribe on YouTube. We could use a few extra followers, like
If you
5.
don't, we'll be sad. So
Yeah.
go do it.
We're trying to hit a goal of 7. So go do
F7,
that.
yeah. 7.
As soon as you can.
Yeah.
And if you don't follow us on Facebook, come do that too. We have an amazing tribe. It's called the Tribe of Giants. A Tribe of Giants. Maybe it's the two. We're the and
Yeah.
But Nick, we've got a great guest today. I'm so excited to hear from him. I was watching some of his videos yesterday. I'm like, man, that is a powerful giant.
Yeah. You're going to unleash some power in this interview. This will probably be one of the best interviews you've ever heard with Fredrick Bussey. And so I'm going to plant that seed in there. That's psychology, right? Just set it. So we're going to anchor you in. Fredrick Bussey's incredible. He's the author of the book Breaking Orbit. Rip out of the regular by unleashing or unearthing the power within. Man, I'm going to get it eventually, Fredrick. So he coaches entrepreneurs and executives to unleash the power of their gift and create extraordinary results with uniqueness that only they can bring to the world. So he's a serial entrepreneur and creative, and he's had over 20 years of experience in the music and entertainment industry. He's worked as a songwriter, producer, publicist, marketing representative, creative director, and artist manager. And so IconStatus, the marketing and branding consultancy he founded, helps brands and individuals to tell their stories in more powerful ways and to initiate opportunities that bring transformative results. He's joining us out of Atlanta, Georgia. There's some more to that you can see on his website. But Fredrick, welcome to the show, man. I got to plug in. I can see my power dying.
Oh, man. Don't let that happen. We got more to talk about.
We got a backup for like 5 seconds, but people don't want to see me for too long. They want Nick on there too.
And that chair, man, that chair just stands out. It's so perfect. It's like your life, right?
Well, no, I appreciate it. I'm trying to be comfortable. You know, in COVID, we ended up sitting behind our desks for Zoom calls a lot more often. So hopefully it breaks up the monotony for people as well.
That's good. Let's dive into your story. Let's really dig into who Fredrick Bussey is. Am I saying your last name right?
So I have to correct you. It is Bussey.
Bussey. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Let me get that right. There's nothing worse than a name getting in the way of creation. So
I thought it was like Gary Busey's cousin for a
yeah,
second.
right.
Yeah. He's a little bit bigger on the screen than I am. So he's got one S and I've got 2. So
See, you already know that. That's probably somebody said that before, huh?
A few people. It's all right. When bill collectors would call in the past, it's always, it's Bussey. So
it's like French.
Right. So it's all good.
Tell us about childhood. Going back in time here, what was it like for you growing up?
Childhood was good for me. So as I was talking to you before the show started, my father he is a retired minister. My mother was a school teacher, but they uniquely decided to homeschool myself and my 3 siblings. I have 2 younger brothers and my sister's the youngest. And they homeschooled us for our entire school career. So even though homeschooling is a thing through the pandemic and it's becoming more popular now, back then we didn't know any kids in Mississippi who were being homeschooled. So it was an oddity.
You guys were trendsetters.
Yeah, definitely. Didn't want to be. I fought it for years. Every fall, it was like, can I go to school for real now? But looking back, it was probably the best thing for me. It gave me the freedom to explore my creativity and the personal attention and time. I learned how to manage my time, how to get the most out of it, and just kind of create a reality for myself that I wanted to use my imagination. You know, back then there was no internet, there were no cell phones, there was no YouTube or Disney in terms of internet. So it was all imagination and books. And that was the thing for me. I loved to read. And so it's funny, I was asking my mom, and I was thanking her for teaching me to read. And she's like, I didn't teach you to read. You just started reading at the age of 3.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, I didn't know that until I was probably a couple of years ago. So
my mom and dad congratulated me last year for learning that too. 39 years old. They're like, congratulations.
Yeah.
Hey, better late than never, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did it.
So but that was the thing for me. I mean, you're growing up in Mississippi. Mississippi was so I don't know, it was a different place, right? There's not a lot going on there. Didn't grow up with rich people. We weren't poor in terms of poverty, even though Mississippi was definitely a place that was full of a lot of poverty. But it was I had a great childhood, man. I remember we used to play football in the street, tag football, baseball, everything was in the street. Just a great environment. And I was there for a number of years, my brothers and sisters. Then we moved to Alabama for about 5 more years before I went to college. And it was just good times, man. Yeah, real good times.
Did you ever doubt yourself, or did you ever have experiences where you felt less than, or that your dreams didn't matter when you were younger?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't grow up as a very it wasn't that my parents didn't support us. I definitely gave us a lot of support, but I just think I wasn't really exposed to a lot of the more powerful examples of what was possible for my life, right?
Okay.
My parents didn't really pressure us to go to college or anything like that. They just wanted us to be educated. They wanted us to be God-fearing, to have our own relationship with God. And that was important to me, but I was very insecure. I remember when, funny, a year after we moved to Alabama, I got in a car accident where I ended up hitting the windshield, had 19 stitches, 21 stitches that ran from my forehead to my eyebrow, right? As a matter of fact, I still have glass underneath my skin from that. But that scar was kind of symbolic for me. I was very, very insecure, and I just felt like, oh man, girls are never going to want to talk to me. I'm going to look like Worf, the Klingon from Star Trek: The Next Generation. That was just kind of my whole deal. And I felt just really insecure. I was wearing glasses. I had thick Coke bottle glasses. I remember when I went to college my freshman year, I would play basketball and they would always get knocked out and the lenses would come out after popping back in. So it was very, I just didn't grow up with I had a lot of insecurities about who I was and what I wanted to be. I felt like I was built for something that was meant to be great, but I just didn't know how I was going to ever get there.
Yeah, well, now you got, like my kids say, you got a lot of drip. You're dapper, right? And I had to ask him, what does drip mean, right? I'm like, I don't have drip. But man, you go from being insecure to where you are today, which feels very confident in what you're creating. And just diving into your website and marinating in that for a bit, you get this feeling that Fredrick Bussey doesn't have insecurities. Are they still around, or are they
Bussey?
But yeah, Fredrick, I'm sorry, man.
It's
Fredrick
okay, yeah.
Bussey.
Me too.
Same
guy, yeah.
Conscious.
That guy too.
I gotta wake up and be conscious to the radio show or the show here.
Yeah.
I'm getting there, dude. Anyway, are they still present? Do you still have those insecurities? And if so, how do you manage that?
So short answer is yes. Always, I think we're always going to be battling thoughts of feeling like we're less than. I think that's because there's so much comparison, so much noise out there. We're always looking to be sure that we measure up in some way. And it's not because we haven't done enough. It's just because we live in a culture where it's always about the last thing that you did. Like, what are you going to do next? Like, so-and-so just did this. Like, You know, there's always a newer car or a bigger house or newer clothes or more drip and more slang or,
Right.
you know,
Right.
you did this yesterday. Are you relevant today?
Right. Wow.
The thing that helped me to overcome that was really understanding that I have a gift and that we all have a gift, and that my only real responsibility, the only real definition of success is whether or not you're using your gift to fulfill the purpose that you were created to fulfill. And once I realized that I could do that, I could wake up every day and be successful just because I'm walking in my gift. It opened up everything for me. It really, even when insecure thoughts arise, negative thoughts arise, I can center myself by realizing, okay, it's cool. You know, I may not be Elon Musk today, right? But Elon is not me.
Yeah.
And I have my responsibility and Elon has his. So if Elon's walking in his gift, I'm gonna walk in mine, you know, and that's the real thing, you know.
Man, as I hear that, I've got a little echo here, so it's repeating back.
Oh, good.
The
I'm gonna turn on
idea
a light real
around,
quick.
yep.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
There we go. We got the beauty of technology is that we can count on technology doing its thing.
Yeah, you know.
But talking about purpose, so we all have a gift, and the only responsibility is to use that gift to fulfill your purpose. And so I want to talk about that. Did you have a clear purpose when you began this journey? Did you know exactly where you were going to go? Did this evolve?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
You know, we often look at our lives in hindsight, and we can, if we look back, we realize how things lined up for us.
Yeah.
But looking forward is difficult to see, right?
Yeah.
What's the path forward? And I didn't grow up with a clear purpose. So taking it back, when I was a teenager, my friends and I started a singing group, and I grew up singing in the church and stuff like that. And so I had a love and a passion for music. That's how I started out becoming a songwriter. And my goal was to pursue a career in music. And I believed that I was going to live the rest of my life writing music and producing and things of that nature. I very much wanted to be Sean Puff Daddy Combs, just have my own record label and media empire and make music and all those kind of things. So that was my goal. But the music industry was very different in terms of your ability to break in, to be able to create your own things, right? So years and years of trying to be an artist, I eventually segued into just focusing on being a songwriter and producer. But as I went through that process, I went from the creative side to the business side, becoming an artist manager and publicist, and then eventually becoming a partner in a PR firm. It was still kind of searching for that purpose. I was like, I feel like I need to do something bigger, have more impact. I should be, quote unquote, more successful. I was always kind of chasing that, but not really having a clear idea what that meant, right? And so I definitely didn't know what that was for a long, long time. And where I am now is really a testament to being able to discover my gift. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You got some good fans here. Steve Hardison on. I think that's how we connected, was through Steve.
That's right. That's right.
Fredrick, the beauty of this is that what I want our viewers to hear in this is that the vision, when you create the vision, you're not going to have clarity around how you're going to get there, but you start to evolve this vision of who you want to be when you wrap up your story in a way, right?
So yeah, I want you to phrase that question a little bit. Reframe that for me a little bit. Yeah.
I love that. So when I think of the word purpose, we hear this over and over again that we've got to identify our purpose.
Right.
And I have this view and this take on it that there will be multiples of those throughout life. And so it's constantly evolving, like this singular purpose to me. It sometimes gets in the way of creation. Like there's just one thing for me. Do you know what I mean? And so we have this vision of where we're going, but we don't see the path moving into that vision. We do looking backward, we could see how it all makes sense and how it all fell into place. And so we see the path looking backward, and it's usually pretty branched out, a little different from what we imagined. But what doesn't let up is that we have this vision of reaching our highest potential.
Right. Right.
And so my question for you around this is, when you use the word purpose, and I ask this to a lot of people, is what does that mean for you? Like, and how is that impactful in the steps that you take in your life?
Okay. Yeah. I love this question. I'm
Yeah.
going to answer it. This may be long, but I'm going to answer it this
Yeah.
way.
Perfect.
Imagine that you're on one side of a stream, right? And you want to cross over to the other side. And there's some rocks, right, that lead across, but
Yeah.
they're kind of scattered, right? You have to work your way across. Now, you want to get to the other side. You know that there are steps, but you're not sure which steps are certain, which ones are slippery, which ones are going to submerge, right? You have to try it out.
Right. Huh.
Now, if you have someone that goes ahead of you, you can mirror their steps. But if you have to make that path yourself, then you have to figure it out. Now, so you take one step over here, and then you may have to stretch to this rock over here and then stretch whatever. So it's a zigzag pattern back and forth. But you can kind of, if you're standing at the stream, you can kind of see that there are rocks that are there. When you get to the other side, you look back, you can see straight across to where you were standing.
Yep.
But it wasn't a straight line to get there. In life, a lot of times what we are doing is we're finding the rocks, but the rocks only appear as we take the step.
Beautiful.
And so you don't know if it's going to be solid or not, but you have to trust that you can take the step and figure it out to get to the next rock, right?
Yep.
A lot of times what we do in life, now to a point about purpose, if you look around your room, right, where you are right now, like I've got headphones, I've got my phone, there's a doorknob, a light switch. Everything in our physical universe is created with a purpose, right? It has intention behind the reason why it was created. People they didn't build a doorknob factory with no idea for what it was being done, right? Yet human beings believe.
Hey, look, check that out, man. A doorknob freaking worked. I had no idea. It just appeared, man.
You just tried to sell these things to people and they started buying them. It was amazing.
It was a success. Keep going. Yeah.
But people believe for some reason that we have to create our purpose, that we are not created with one innately, right? Yeah. And so that is the reason, like when I wrote the book, it was through the discovery of understanding that we are created with a gift, and our gift has a purpose, right? It has a very intentional meaning behind what we are created to do, what the impact that we are created to have. So the definition of a gift is your unique capacity to create a certain impact in the world for a specific purpose, right? So a doorknob has a purpose. Everything, if we look in nature, everything has a purpose. Birds were created to fly. Water always flows. The wind blows. The sun shines. Everything in the ecosystem has a purpose in that entire sphere, right?
Yeah.
But human beings, we have a purpose in this, and yet sometimes we take ourselves out of that. And in the world, we don't understand where we exist, how we are meant to fit in. And that is really the key behind so much suffering, so much pain, shame, everything that people experience, is because they don't know why they're here, right? Why are we here? But if you knew what your purpose was, right? If you knew what your gift was, you would know that your gift has a purpose. If you know what your purpose is, then you know how you're supposed to show up in the world, because you're supposed to create a certain impact, right? Now, a lot of times when people talk about purpose, it's like, well, I'm meant to do this thing. I'm meant to have this job. My purpose is being a doctor, or being a podcaster, or being a coach, or a teacher, right?
Yeah.
But that is not your purpose. That is an occupation, right? And an occupation can last for a lifetime, or it can last for a season, right? I believe that we all have missions that can take us through our journey. So sometimes your mission, just like those rocks that would take us across the stream, you can go from mission to mission, but your purpose is to get across to the other side, if you will.
Yeah.
So my purpose is to go from here to there. But the reason why you're getting across that stream, that is your real purpose, right? It is to bring knowledge to others that it's okay to cross this stream. It's to plant a tree on the other side. It is to set up a fort that is going to protect people in this environment, whatever that thing is, right? Your ultimate purpose in life is the reason why you're crossing the stream. So a lot of times we think that my purpose in life is to hit on this, step on this rock, or my purpose in life is to, just cross the stream itself. But why are you crossing the stream? What is the impact of you crossing that stream? What does that mean? Mm-hmm. And then how does it affect the world? So when people are out here creating purposes, people are doing all kinds of things in life, right? And they're trying to create meaning out of something that they're doing, an occupation, a mission, if you will, whatever the case may be. And it doesn't mean that it's not significant. It doesn't mean that it's not important. It just means that if it's not tethered to your gift, if it's not tethered to the real purpose that you're here, it will be like a doorknob that's acting like a paperweight, right? Yes, you can function as a paperweight, a very good paperweight. But wouldn't it be better if you were a doorknob? Because you're meant to open doors. And so we have people that are functioning outside of their purpose, trying to create meaning out of the function that they are in at this particular time, but wondering why they're not having more impact, wondering why their life is not more significant, more fulfilling.
I would venture to say that there are people watching this right now that are trying to discover their purpose, right? Mm-hmm. But my vision on purpose is that it's created. It's what you give meaning to. So you have this gift, right? Like you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And so you might have multiple purposes based on that gift.
Right.
But what you're offering here is that there's this ultimate purpose, right? Yes. Which is that bigger impact on the world. That if you're meant to open doors, then you probably don't want to be a paperweight in a way. Right. And so really discovering what that gift is probably more vital than figuring out the purposes, because the purposes are going to be the meaning that you give to different events in your life, right? These things that you create. So places, I go back into the word purpose, meaning to move forward to a place of rest, which is what it means to pause, to pausar, to pause, right? And so when you're creating this vision of what you want to impact the world with, it really takes knowing what are my gifts. What was I born with? What are my innate talents and abilities, or things that come easily to me, or even where do I want to develop? Right? That could be a gift, because you might be led into the gift not knowing you're being led into the gift. That could be music. That could be writing. That could be serving others, So yeah, what do you think of as you hear that? Am I in line with the way you see it, experience it?
It's very similar.
Okay.
The way that I break it out is this, and I like how you broke out purpose, right, and the meaning behind it. Yeah. A lot of times, the power in words is understanding the meaning behind the words. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
And a lot of times we use words and we conflate them, but when we start to understand where they overlap and where they are distinguished, it actually helps us to get more clarity about certain things. So, for instance, I use the word gift, and it's defined in the book as the capacity to create a certain impact in the world or fulfill a certain function, right? It's the capacity to do something. What does capacity mean? Capacity means that it is the power, right? It is like a light. You have a light bulb and a flashlight, right?
Yeah.
Both have the capacity for creating light and illumination. But the way that they achieve that is in very different ways, right?
Yeah.
You can have a light bulb in a flashlight, but a flashlight in and of itself, without certain other power, can't create that. It has the capacity, but it needs other things, right? So let's look at what are those
light bulb went on. There's my contribution so far to the show.
I love it, Ryan. And there is you fulfilling your purpose.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
He's held on to that for the whole show. Well, there goes Ryan.
Yeah. The chair, the light bulb. Those are the two things that I got so far. You're good. Keep going.
No. So we use certain words that overlap. We say talents, gifts, skills, etc. Right?
Yep.
For instance, a skill is something that you acquire. In other words, we go to school to get trained. It is to learn how to do something. That is the technical execution of a task, right? But a skill is not a gift if you can acquire it, because it wasn't given to you. You had to go get it. You had to learn it. A talent is defined as your aptitude to be good at a certain skill. So, for instance, LeBron James is 6'8", 250, can run like a horse, can jump like a deer. The likelihood that he's going to be good at basketball is very good, right? He has those talents. Right?
I jump like a hippopotamus.
Which are surprisingly agile.
Yeah,
if you think
they're
about
bouncy.
Them. Yeah,
it is, and they swim very well. So
I'm not a swimmer though. Anyway, sorry. Here we go again.
So to that point, then Ryan's talent is most likely he's not going to be the greatest high jumper in the world, right? Yeah. Which is fine. That's not where his talents lie. What you find a lot of times, though, is that we see certain people that have a talent or aptitude to be good at certain skills, and we say, oh, they're really gifted, right?
Yeah.
But your gift, is about your capacity to create a certain impact in the world. The capacity itself is not a talent. The capacity is about the impact, not about the thing that you're doing, right? So what is the impact of what you're doing, right? So to take that further, when you look at where your talents lie and when your skills lie, you put those together, your capacity.
That's true. I think they made that movie about me.
they knew you were the guy.
Yeah, gravity's like extra strong with me.
Yeah. So when you're looking at where your capacity lies, it's something that you're born with, and that's why I use the word gift, because it implies that there was divine intention behind your life, right? And that's one of the disconnects that we have as we get older, as we encounter the world, as people put expectations and goals and futures in our path and tell us this is what's possible for you. They put us in this box and they tell us that the only things that are allowable or permissible for us are the things that belong inside this box.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is that the gift is your capacity to create that impact. Your gift is the lack of a box. There is no box, right? We are infinitely gifted with the capacity to create through our gift an impact in the world, and there's no limit on that. So it doesn't have to be in just one occupation. It doesn't have to be in just one country, in one language.
Right.
Wherever you go, there you are. There your gift is. Which means that there your impact is. People ask the question, I don't know where I belong in the world. I'm looking for a place to belong. Your gift is your belongingness. Wherever you are, you belong because your gift is there. You have the capacity to create impact wherever you are. I love what Steve said earlier. He said his purpose is to love people. Ultimately, that's true for all of us, right? Your gift is your ability to love people in your unique way.
Right.
To make them feel loved, to feel seen, to feel heard and empowered, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of a gift, that I don't have to be envious of anyone else's, right? Ryan's amazing leaping ability or LeBron James's skill.
I'm sure there are a few people, like 7, that are jealous of my leaping abilities.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
I counted them. Took a straw poll.
I want to pull this in. So as I think about the gift, right? Because you create this distinction between skills, talent, and gift, right? Mm-hmm. And the gift is that capacity within it all to have an impact in the world, and the talent is your level of that capacity or skill, right? Your ability to perform it in a way.
The talent is an expression, or so it is. Think of it as being a Ferrari,
okay,
versus a tractor.
Okay,
both are vehicles.
It's a huge gap. Yeah,
it's a huge gap.
Yeah.
The talent would be the features of the Ferrari and a tractor. A tractor has big, huge tires.
Okay.
It's got a strong motor, but it also has a plow attached to the back of it, right?
Right.
It's formulated in a certain way to create a certain impact, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
A Ferrari is sleek. It's fast. It's got a powerful engine. It's got slick tires. It's made to perform at a high level in a certain environment. If you put a Ferrari in a cornfield, it's not going to be working at its highest possible level. Its capacity to create its impact is severely limited because it's not using its gift in the right environment. It's not using its capacity in the right context. If you put a tractor on a racetrack, it's not going to be using its capacity in the proper environment to create the impact that it was designed to create. But if you put a tractor in a cornfield, you can feed a nation. If you put a Ferrari on a racetrack, you can inspire people with the speed and the precision of the engineering, right? Every gift has a capacity to create a certain impact, but it has to be used in the proper context, right? So the talents that we have are clues about the context in which our gift is meant to be used. A lot of times we look at the talent itself as the thing, right?
Right.
But
okay.
Ability to jump high is great, but that's not a gift in and of itself, because that capacity to impact, what is that gift for? Now, if I'm jumping just to dunk a basketball, if I'm jumping to save somebody, that's a talent. It's an aptitude to be able to be good at something. But in and of itself, it's not very powerful. But you combine that with a skill, and you understand what that skill is meant to be used for, right? What is the capacity that I'm meant to create, right? And there are physical attributes, but there are also a lot of other hidden talents that we have that we pay less attention to, right? The ability to be a good listener, to communicate, to be able to break down ideas, to be able to take something that exists in our head and to be able to draw it or write it or to speak it or to sing it, right? So it's not that your vocal ability as a singer is necessarily the gift, although it could be, but it is a vessel, a feature of that gift, right? Because you can have two singers that both can sing.
Yeah.
They're both on pitch, but one singer is better as a background singer because they have the ability to blend with others. Another is a lead soloist, and their ability to make people cry because of how they can interpret a lyric, or their vocal control, or their understanding of how to communicate emotion, right? That capacity is the difference in how those things are articulated. And when you have people that don't understand their own gift and the context in which it should be used, how they use that talent, right? Like, I can sing, but I'm not going to be a Pavarotti or something like that. I don't have that capacity to impact people in that way. But my own, so hopefully that helps articulate the difference.
I see that it doesn't make the impact that you have less valuable. If you're a backup singer, that's as impactful in the world as the primary talent, right? So and also what I hear is that as you're developing your gift, there are skills that you're also going to have to develop, like to operate in this world. And so building the capacity in those skills supports your gift, right? Which improves your talent. But your talent, you might be a backup singer, and that would be fulfilling your capacity. You might be a tractor in the field versus a Ferrari, but it's still impactful because you're making a difference there. And I don't know why, but I kept picturing Cars, the movie Cars, because I've got kids. when he's hooked up to the tar truck and he's got to pave the road. And he's like, I'm a race car, man.
That's a perfect illustration. That's a perfect illustration.
And so, I mean, that's what happens is, what I think we often do is we tether ourselves, like he was tethered to that big tar machine, right? Big Betsy. I think it was Betsy is what it was called. And he's like, I'm a race car, and it's flinging mud all over him. And he's like, this isn't where I'm supposed to be, but he's got a job to get done. And I think many of us in life, we tether ourselves to this thing. And there's something in there that tells us there's something more in you, but we stay tethered to that thing, and there's this suffering, right? kind of like in that show, there's a suffering because there's a disconnect between who we can be and what we're doing currently.
Yeah.
And so my question for you around that is, how do we uncover that gift and really step into it? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, 100%. So
Yeah.
that was one of the questions when I went on this journey. That was one of the big questions for me. Like, how do you discover your gift? You know, in the book, I talk about 9 keys to doing that. I won't go through all 9 of them, but basically it's a journey, right? It is a journey to free yourself of the ideas of what it means to be gifted. And it is to really dive into an acceptance of who you really are, right? Really embracing how you're constructed. It's basically you as a Ferrari looking in the mirror and looking under the hood, right?
Yeah.
One of the first things I say is that you have to accept that you have a gift. For a lot of people, it's hard to accept that they are special just like other people are special, right? So we tell kids these days, hey, everybody's special. You're all special. Great. But why am I special? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the gift is that specialness. Okay. Now, how do I know what that is? One of the things I say is that you have to be, we consult the manufacturer, right? If you want to know how something works, ask the one that made you. And that's beyond just parents. Obviously I'm a believer in God, and I believe that we were all created with intention.
Yeah.
What that does for me, I know not everyone believes that, but if you believe in a higher power, if you believe that the universe had intention behind creating you, if you will, then what it does is then it sets things up to start looking at, well, what are the schematics, right? What are the features and bugs that go into making me what I am, right? Okay. Ferraris have certain features. They have limitations, right? So Ferrari is built for 2 people. It's not built for a family of 6 or 7, right?
Yeah.
So it's not in my future for the time being. But when you start breaking down what that is, you understand, what is my capacity to be able to do? Oh, I can go fast, right? What can I activate? What can I impact? How do I affect people when they're around me? I talk about how you can, what are the details that you pay special attention to, the things that you notice that other people just don't, right? In certain ways.
Yeah.
Some people, for instance, if you're in fashion, some people care a lot about the details of fabric, right? How something feels, how something looks, how it performs under certain environments, right? How things fit together, right?
Yeah.
That attention to detail is a clue into their gift, their capacity to create a certain impact in the world. And that doesn't mean that you have to be a fashion designer. It could mean that you are somebody who loves to manufacture fabric, or it could be that you're a stylist. That could be an expression of your gift, not necessarily occupation, but an expression of it, right? Learning where you have had an impact on people's lives. Like, I coach now. What I realized after years and years of that, I've always been coaching people. When I was a songwriter and producer, I was coaching the artists in the booth to get the best out of them, to help them to create this performance that would last for a lifetime. When I was a counselor in a teen summer camp, I would be coaching the kids, talking to them, helping them to work through different problems to be able to create a future for themselves through an understanding of who they were, right? It's something I've always been doing, and I didn't realize that I got so much joy and satisfaction out of it. And I was in many different occupations performing this same.
Yeah. Okay.
function.
I'm seeing it. There's a thread of this ability that comes through. That's your gift. And so here's what I'm hearing in that is, like, there's this purposes that are created from that gift, right? If your entire purpose is to use that gift to impact the world, that's your global purpose. But in the creation of that and the evolution of that, in a way, you're also creating these other purposes. Like, you're in the music industry. So if you were, like, one could say, right, if you're a coach, you should be in the coaching industry exclusively, right? But here you're saying, I'm coaching everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Your capacity, just like if you're a singer, for instance, let's use that, just because you're a singer doesn't mean that you only sing on a stage, right?
Right.
Music can transcend anywhere, and you don't know where it's going to be heard.
Okay.
Your job as a singer is to show up and sing.
Mm.
And when you sing a song and people experience that, now they take that song with them wherever they go. They can always sing that song that you sang to them, right? And it will have the meaning that you translated or transferred to them, communicated to them inside of them whenever they sing it, even if they don't sound like you.
Huh.
So that is your unique capacity to create this impact in the world, that you can make people cry even when you're no longer around.
I've got a thought around this. Yeah.
Please, I'd love to hear it.
So words create or they destroy, right?
Yeah.
They have the power to do both, and they're very impactful in either direction. And we create our lives through our words. And what I love about music, as I'm hearing you talk about this, is that when somebody uses music, they take that speaking and they dress it up in a way. They make it even, I mean, it's beautiful already, the speaking, it can be.
Right.
But when you add it to music, it makes it even more beautiful and almost emotional, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And so it takes that creation, that powerful word, and it can be emotional in the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen music that's very destructive and angry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can feel the emotion of that. And so it's like some creator, some inventor at some point said, you know, words are pretty awesome, but check this out, right? Like the doorknob. And they're like, when you put it to music, guess what it does to the body? Emotions come out.
That's
and
right.
then when emotion and words are combined, creation happens.
Right.
And I look at how many songs have impacted the world. I think of the Beatles, you know, or John Lennon, or some of these others. And, you know, even some of the recent artists that you follow, you're just like, man, that person is making an impact. I want to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
And how powerful their words combined with intonations, what we call music, create an emotion in us that causes movement.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just going down that line there. Like, what do you think as you hear that?
It's funny you said that, understanding that capacity to create that impact, right? And that's something that a lot of people don't always wake up to.
Yeah.
Because it comes so easily to them. Your gift is in you already. So you don't always value the impact that you have. But valuing that impact is so important because it illuminates the way that you're supposed to show up. Think about the fact you were just talking about words, right?
Yep.
People who are great speakers, great orators, right? They know how to use words, intonations, right? So maybe I'm not a great singer, but I know how to speak, right?
Yes. Yep.
And that is an expression of my gift. Now, you can have two people with a similar gift that can use that gift in opposite ways.
Yes.
You can have Hitler and you can have Martin Luther King.
Yep.
Both were powerful in learning in terms of how to speak and how to move a crowd, an audience.
Beautiful. I love where you're going. Yeah. Yep. Keep going.
But when you don't tie your impact to the right source, when you're not using your gift in the right way, right, you're taking it in two completely different directions. And you talked about the power to build and power to destroy. And MLK was using his power to build, and Hitler was using his power to destroy. Now, here's what's interesting. In the moment, it felt like the opposite, because Martin Luther King got so much pushback, it felt like he was tearing down. Hitler was getting so much momentum in Germany that it felt like he was building up, right?
Wow.
But it was ultimately destructive. And so again, we sometimes look at the initial version of what we're doing and we tie that instead of the outcome, the ultimate outcome, right? The ultimate outcome is based in the real root of understanding how we're deploying our gift.
Yeah.
Hitler was based in hatred. Martin Luther King was based in love. And so ultimately now 50, 60 years later, we see that Martin Luther King's impact has been far greater and has been more sustainable because it's built on building. Hitler's impact, unfortunately it still lasts because hatred still lasts. People go back to that. But we can see that the outcome was rooted in the wrong cause. And so understanding that outcome and that impact is super, super important to understanding our gift and using it in the right way, the most powerful way.
It's so interesting because it's all spoken, right? Like it all comes from here.
Mm-hmm.
It's that, I think about your journey as I'm hearing this, you might have, and I'm going to tie in some of the things I've been learning recently around this, is you might have thoughts or emotions that come up that might say, I feel insecure,
Mm-hmm.
right? They might come up inside of you. And this is really important for people to hear, is that might be present. What matters most is what you do with it. Now, if you start speaking, I'm a terrible human, and you start acting on, I'm a terrible human, then you start to create in your world, I'm a terrible human, right?
Yes.
And so even though you have the thoughts and emotions, the thoughts and the emotions don't create your world. What you speak and what you behave on creates your world. And so you still have an opportunity to take those and shift it. And what I've seen in your journey here is that you're a human just like the rest of us, thank God, right? Like you get to go through and experience emotions
I
of every
look
kind.
closer to make sure.
Yeah, right. Automaton. Well, and the beauty of that is you're going to experience the range of emotions that all of us experience.
Right.
And what matters is what you're saying and what you're doing with it.
Mm-hmm.
And not that it's present, because I think of Ghostbusters, I go back to that, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Like there's no grace in having a thought, right? You have one negative thought and your life is ruined. And a lot of people operate
don't think of
that way.
anything negative or bad. Think the happiest thought. He's just sitting there, and that was the only thing he could think of
Tried
was
to think
the
of the
Stay Puft
nicest and
Marshmallow.
sweetest thing that I could think of. Yeah, and there's got to be grace for that, because what you're saying is that your gift is already in there, and what channels the direction of that gift. Now, one could say Hitler had a gift, right? And Martin Luther King also had a gift. What channeled it was what they decided to do with that impact, right? That capacity for impact. So the way they spoke it to the world and the way they put it out there in their behaviors to the world is how it showed up. One was destructive and the other was creative.
Right.
Yeah. What comes up there?
100%. The word idea actually comes from a word that means from the mind of God, right? That is, to me, that is the divine root of our gift, in that we all have the capacity to create from this entire thing that we're doing here, right? Yeah. Wake Up with Giants TV, the Giants and the Smalls. It's a book, it's a show, but it all started as an idea, right?
Yep.
The logo started as an idea. I want it to be a TV with words across it. It's an idea, right?
Right.
But we have the ability to articulate it and to bring it into being by speaking it, by writing it down, by activating it. Our gift is the ability to activate an idea into the world.
Wow. Yeah. You want to say that again? That's impactful right there.
Yeah, our gift is the capacity to activate an idea into the world, which means that, America is an idea, right? Racism is an idea, right? All these things are ideas, but it takes us as the vehicles, the vessels, to be able to activate these things. Love is an idea. It's a principle. But it can only be activated through us, right? And so conversations, actions, words all come from ideas that say, I want to show up in this way to be able to activate an idea into the world. I'm going to activate an impact in the world in a very particular way, the way that only I can do it, the way that only Nick can do it, the way that only Ryan can do it. I see Diana, who's been commenting, the way that only Diana can do it, right?
Yep.
The way that only Steve can do it, the way that only we can do it. But you can't do that fully until you understand what your way is. What is my gift, right? I have one. Now, what is it? How do I use it? And the beauty is that once you discover it, you can do it every day, no matter where you are. And you don't have to worry about, is it going to be 1 billion people that see me doing it? Am I going to make $1 billion from doing it? Am I going to be able to feed my family, right? The point is not your job. It's not the money. It's nothing more than I'm showing up every day using my gift. to touch people.
Beautiful.
You know what's interesting behind that? So Steve Hardison had a post the other day about a standing jump, and he used to have this amazing vertical jump at the gym, and he could do the box jumps, right? And it was like, I swear that thing was as high as I was, and he's standing there, he's got his headphones on, he's getting ready, and they're recording him, and he goes, "Huh," and he goes running over to it, just kind of leaps onto it, just like dives onto it, rolls kind of awkwardly on it, and then gets back off. And then another guy walks over and just bounces right onto it. But both were impactful. I sat there and I thought, like, oh, well, that's a way to do it.
Yeah.
Who says you have to jump and land on it with your feet and still be impactful? Like, I sat there and I watched Steve, and I go, well, he's still doing something. He's still moving. He's still living into him, what he can do.
Yeah.
And then sometimes increasing it, and then sometimes our capacity in some other areas may not be. We once had a capacity, but maybe we can't do it the exact same way anymore. But we can still be highly impactful.
So let's hit on comparison there, right?
Yeah.
One could look at both of those examples and compare them, and which one was the right way to do it, right? That's where we go, is we want to know the right way and the rule book and follow the rule book, because the rule book would say, well, you've got to jump, so that wasn't really accomplishing it, and then we judge ourselves from there.
Right.
Well,
still got on the box, and it was still as tall as me. Yeah. I was impressed.
Yeah. I look at it as we judge it by the impact that we're designed to create, right? What is the outcome that you're trying to create? If the outcome is to land on the box, it doesn't matter how you do it.
He did it.
Now, if your outcome is, well, let me use this illustration. I like to use illustration of a sledgehammer and a drill, right? Both can create a hole in the wall, but the purpose of the hole is very different. If I want to hang a picture, I'll use a drill.
Dang, I've been doing it wrong.
Have you been sledgehammering your wall? Bro.
I knew there was something off, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it because the hole is too big. Yeah,
it might be a little bit. Yeah, so you just throwing nails through that thing.
Yeah,
but so the purpose of the hole matters. It determines what type of instrument you use to create the hole, right?
Yeah. Yep.
What happens? This is where comparison happens. We have a lot of people. You can create a hole with a drill like you do with a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
But you're more likely to do more damage to the drill than the wall, because a drill is designed to create a hole in a certain way. We have a lot of people that are walking around this world acting like sledgehammers when they're really drills, and acting like drills when they're really sledgehammers. Some people you need to be able to make a big hole, they need to cause demolition so we can speed up this process of building something further. Some people you need to pinpoint precision of a drill in a particular place for a particular impact. Wow. And the impact is not even the hole. The picture that you can hang on that hole is where the impact is really, so it's about the impact and the outcome that you're trying to create.
Wow.
Well, here's the other thing I want to share. So what happens when we act out of character is that we end up doing more damage to ourselves than creating the impact that we're supposed to have, right?
Yeah.
If I go around acting like a sledgehammer and I'm really a drill, I'm just tearing up my chassis because I'm out here trying to make this big old dent in this wall. No.
Yep.
Go out there and, because now what happens when you're able to do that? You can create an art gallery with a drill. You can build a skyscraper with a drill because you're able to drill in the nails that need to go in pinpoint precision, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I can't build a sledgehammer. I can't build a skyscraper with a sledgehammer. And it may feel like your impact is really small. But look at what you're able to do when you're over and over again. I'm just drilling these holes, right? I'm not out here trying to tear down the walls. Yeah.
And and a lot of that is the perspective and the understanding and recognizing how freaking special you are and how amazing you are, that you have a gift where you have gifts that can be used, and then once you pinpoint it and narrow it down in the right way, oh dang, and then showing up, giving it some time too, and having grace, right? Like
Right.
sometimes it takes a little bit, and we want that that instant. We live in a world of instant satisfaction and entertainment, and then the now. Sometimes those things take some time to feel that impact. You look at Vincent van Gogh, and he thought he was a failure his whole life, painted these amazing paintings, and it wasn't until years and years and years and years later the impact of what he had done shows up.
You know what's cool? Yeah, go ahead first, and I'll hold my thought here.
Well, I just wanted to segue to that because I actually, there's a story about Van Gogh in my book, and it talks about the fact that Van Gogh for years thought he couldn't be a painter because he was horrible at sketching. He, to be a painter back then, you had to learn how to sketch first, and he was horrible at drawing. So he actually abandoned becoming a painter and went off and became a priest, and then revisited because the call of art was on him so much. And because he was a terrible painter, he was terrible at the art of becoming a painter, he had to invent an entirely new style, right?
Yeah, beautiful.
And his first painting was actually him painting a seascape on the beach during a storm. And so he's like in a cove, and the canvas is out on the beach, and so there's like gusts of wind and rain. He runs out in between the gusts and slaps paint on the canvas, and then comes back in and takes cover. And so it was that process that created this unique perspective on art that now people herald and pay millions of dollars for. And so what we often do, to your point, Ryan, is that we devalue our own particular gift because we can't do it the way that other people can, right?
Yeah, that comparison. I was going to say something about Van Gogh, but your story was way better than what I was going to share. So I want to go back and highlight the journey, though. Like what you've given us is a gift. That ability to describe this in a way, Fredrick, that really hits home for me, and I know it's going to hit home for others that are wondering, like, what's my purpose? And the giant's journey, as you read through the book, when he steps out and he's lived his life and he's unconscious and he maybe has those insecurities, he doesn't know what to do, and he goes on the uncertain path. That's what all of us do. We don't know the path when we step out onto it. He doesn't even know at that point that he can become a giant, but he wants to ask the giants how they became giants, right? And then he goes to this giant. He's like, well, you're already a giant. Here's the beauty of it. It's already within you. How you get there is totally up to you. And that's what you're describing here in your journey. Is he stands him on his shoulder and he says, let me show you something. And he lets him see a vision of the world of what's possible. And he starts to see that for himself, which is exactly what you're doing right now, is letting us stand on your shoulder and see the world a little different. That the gift is already in there, and your capacity and your talent and your skills that you develop around that gift will come as you step on the path, which you can't see clearly moving forward.
Right.
But it matters that you stick with it, and that you earn it, and that you develop it, and that you impact the world in the unique way that you can. It's different for every person. And then in that, you're sharing your journey with others and inspiring them into their own giant's journey, just like you're doing. I mean, it's incredible. It doesn't matter what you do for occupation. Like, I have an occupation, and I write books, and I create. It doesn't mean that I'm never one thing. I'm like Brene Brown. I'm all kinds of things, So I just love the journey and the wisdom that you're sharing. It really feels like I got an opportunity to stand on your shoulder and see the world a little different, to really have a vision of what a gift is and how that gift impacts your purpose and how that purpose impacts the world. So
I'm grateful we didn't have Fredrick Bussey on the show. That guy. I'm glad we had Fredrick Bussey.
And I don't know what
the other guy would have said, but I don't think it would have been as impactful.
I'm trying to stay conscious to the Bussey part, you know, like, man, I go so unconscious still. You
But
know,
now
I
you
know it.
know, and
But
knowing
now I
is half
know.
the battle.
Thank you, G.I. Joe.
You're welcome.
I love the whole concept about the giants and the smalls.
Yeah.
The fact that we are giants, you know, that thought gives me chills every time, because we all walk around thinking that we're so small inside.
Yeah.
We look at everybody else. Oh, there's such a giant. There's such a this. And the thing about it is that the giants that we look at oftentimes see themselves as tiny people as well, right?
Yeah.
They feel like, what's going to happen? They're not whole imposter syndrome. What's going to happen when people find out that I'm not really as big as they think I am?
Yeah.
But the reason why these people are giants to us is because they showed up in some way that let us feel like there was more possible for us, right?
Yeah.
They gave us something to aspire to. And that's really the role that we all play. You said you stood on my shoulders, but I stand on your shoulders. This is a platform that you created to tell a particular story. It gave me an opportunity to share what I'm sharing, but it also inspires me to want to be able to share with more people, because I don't wake up every day thinking that I'm going to impact the world. There are many days when I feel like, you know, I can't find my foot from my hand, because I'm just like, what am I doing with my life right now? You know?
Yeah.
And I have to come back to that thought. And sometimes it's a post that you write. It's something that Steve says. It's something that someone else shares. We're all standing on each other's shoulders at different particular times, right?
Yep. In different areas, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are people who do music are as important as the person who gives them a platform to be able to share that music, right? Yeah. The person who builds the piano is no less important than the one who can play it.
Yeah.
They both require each other to be able to express their gift, right? A piano that no one can play.
Oh man, yeah.
I play a mean chopsticks.
Well, so this is it. Complementary versus comparing, right? They complement each other versus compare to each other. You can't compare a Ferrari to a tractor, but you can complement each in what they create, and they are complementary. Yes. And so that's where, if something intimidates you and you're in that comparison, go complement it. Like if a person is intimidating, then there's something in you that might say that I'm insecure. Go compliment that person and show them how much beauty they bring into the world. You know, the whole beauty of the book is like, it's not about in groups and out groups. Mm-hmm. It's about that internal journey. And when each of us realize we're already a giant.
Yeah.
And that's the battle that we face, is going from feeling small to feeling giant. Mm-hmm. Then you start to understand, wow, I can do something about that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
well, think also how much time we waste worrying about our size instead of our impact. Great. You're a giant. Now what are you going to do about it? Right? Because a lot of times we spend so much time wishing we were somebody else or like somebody else. Why? Well, if I was this person, I could do this. But you're just like that person in a different area. Find the area where you're the giant, right? Beautiful. Find the area where you can leave that footprint in the world. We waste so much time diminishing ourselves and not enough time elevating others. When we get out of our own way, when we realize our capacity to really lift people up, to help them to see. I love that analogy, standing on the shoulders. So you can see, like I have young children.
It's right here. So this is, I don't know if you can see that, but there's the small
he's standing
on the shoulder.
I love it. Right. And just like you lift people up so they can see things that are not possible from where they are.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is that when you lift someone up on your shoulders, now they feel like a giant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. They say, oh, wow, this is what it looks like when I'm up here. Right. And in our own way, each of us has that ability, that capacity. We can see things further than other people can't see.
Which means that everybody's a giant. Everybody has the ability to put somebody on their shoulders.
Yes.
Everybody.
Yes.
Huh. I love it. I love it. What other wisdom do you want to share? If you were to give one final piece of wisdom to somebody who's stepping out on their journey, what would you share?
One thing that a lot of us are afraid of is the fear of failure, right?
Yeah.
Not really sure what steps we should take, having the permission to be able to go in a particular direction, to do any particular thing. I like to share with people the 3 laws of giftedness, because it kind of clarifies that whole space of fear for me.
Yeah.
3 laws of giftedness simply says that everyone is created with a special, a unique and powerful gift. Everyone is created with a unique and powerful gift.
Okay. Which
means that you have it, Ryan has it, I have it. We all have our own gift. The second law of giftedness says that every gift is created with a purpose, right? There is intention behind your gift. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to make it up. Ferrari is a Ferrari because it was meant to be that way. It was designed that way for a reason. Same with a tractor, sledgehammer, drill, everything was created. You were created with a purpose. Your gift was created with a purpose. And the third law of giftedness, which is my favorite, is that no gift can fail at the purpose for which it was created. Birds always fly. The sun always shines. Wind always blows, water always flows. Everything in nature, everything in the universe that was created with a purpose fulfills the purpose for which it was created. And so will you. Walk in your gift.
Yeah. That's like a good food or a fine wine. You know, it's something you savor. Those words, they're impactful. I can feel that, right? That no gift can fail at the purpose for which it was created. Huh.
You can't fail.
Ryan, do you have some additional thoughts around that?
So just spending, what are we at, an hour and 7 minutes or so, spending that, somebody could take these words that have been spoken today and wake up to their giant potential and to start seeing themselves as the Creator sees them, and can go out right now, today, and start living their purpose and just stepping into it and learning and growing. And as you step, I love that. As you step, the path appears, and it's not perfect, but is it? It might be the perfect path that you need. You might not think it's perfect as you're stepping out. You might think it's a little sloppy and messy, but maybe that's the thing that needed to happen to help you grow and help you stretch. And when you look back and you can see the impact that you had, it's pretty special. And we're excited. I'm gonna use some of this. I'm gonna steal some of your content and take it out as my own. I think no, just kidding. I'm not gonna steal it in that way. I'm gonna grow. I'm gonna grow and stretch and learn. It opened up in my mind some different ways of thinking, and I'm gonna share this. We get the opportunity to go teach kids and to go talk to educators and to do what we're doing each and every day is in Wake Up with Giants and the Giants and the Smalls and the Tribe of Giants. And I'm going to utilize this. One of my purposes is to help others see their giant potential.
Yeah.
That the way I see them, I see the best in everybody every time, even when they don't see it in themselves. So thank you for opening my eyes a little bit bigger and opening my ears so that I could hear a little bit more and to see. That's amazing, man. You have a great gift. I'm so grateful for your time. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with me, Ryan. I appreciate it. I'm just honored to be here and to have these conversations. And I encourage you, keep doing the work that you're doing because it matters. There are young people, so many young people that don't know, right? And they won't know unless you tell them, unless we tell them.
So there's a message that popped up there. Our vision is impacting 100 million lives worldwide, right? This message isn't just for me. It's not just for my kids. It may have started out as an inspiration and an idea that way, but the impact that it's having is 100 million people globally And I speak that powerfully because that's how creations come about, is what you speak becomes as you act on it. And Ryan talked about perfection, and I'll wrap up here briefly. The word perfection comes from the Latin perfecere, which means to perform and to complete. It's not flawless. And so when you're performing something and you finish it, you follow it through to completion, you're doing it perfectly. And so there's no way to mess that up. And so keep stepping, like you say, leave footprints, make an impact. That's what a footprint does, is an impact in the world. And do it perfectly, follow it through, perform it, complete it, create your purpose, perform and pause, right? All these words work together, and then do it again. There's no end to the mountains that you can climb. No end to your capacity as a giant.
Nick, you and I are so aligned because you're talking about that perfection, right? And the thing that keeps us from actually stepping out sometimes is we're trying to make it perfect. We're trying to be perfect. And there's that Bible text that says, be ye therefore perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. And you talked about that the word that is used there for perfect is teleios, which is complete, in need of nothing, right? Which means that we don't have to be perfect. What the text is telling us is not that you need to be flawless. It is saying that you need to recognize you are in need of nothing. We have been created with everything that we need to perform and create the impact that we need to create. So you don't have to work about making it perfectly and fixing the colors and perfecting your speech. Go out and use your gift, walk in your gift, be the giant that you already are.
Nick, it's like looking in the mirror. See you twice. There you are.
Well, and even when if we were to use that from the Bible, or an analogy, is when he's finished, he says it is finished. Which this show is perfect because it is finished, and all that you create is perfect because it is finished. So stick with it. Giants, thanks for being on. Make it a giant day. We'll see you in the next episode.
Love you too.